Have you ever noticed that many of the most accomplished creatives tend to be the most disciplined about their routines? You're listening to Torah in 7, a podcast where we explore one idea on the weekly Torah reading in 7 minutes. I'm Bela Olidort. Parshat Terumah is about blueprints, the plans and instructions for building the Mishkan. We read about acacia wood, gold rings, curtain clasps, precise measurements. It feels like a technical manual, and after the drama of the Exodus and the thunder of Sinai, it takes effort to sustain interest in these details. Why does the creator of the universe care about the specific measurements of a portable tent? Why doesn't he just say, build me something beautiful? There's got to be something deeper here, something about how creativity works and how human beings function. Think of Igor Stravinsky, the 20th century composer. In his Poetics of Music, he wrote something counterintuitive about creative freedom. He said, "My freedom will be so much the greater and more meaningful, the more narrowly I limit my field of action, and the more I surround myself with obstacles. The more constraints one imposes, the more one frees oneself of the chains that shackle the spirit." The architect Frank Gehry said something similar, that when he was given a project with no budget and no site limitations, he was paralyzed. He needed the problem of the site, its materials and constraints, to turn imagination into action. We see this today in the lives of the most high-functioning creatives. I often read about world-class writers, artists, and CEOs who follow daily routines religiously. They wake up at the same hour, they follow the same exercise circuit, and eat the same breakfast. To an outsider, it looks like a lack of spontaneity. But to the artist, the routine is the grid. By establishing and sticking with steady, stabilizing schedules, the exercise, the habits, the routines, they free up mental energy for the work that actually matters. They don't wait for inspiration to strike. They build a structure that gives inspiration somewhere to land. This is the hidden engine of the Mishkan. God isn't being a micromanager. He's being the ultimate architect of the human spirit. He provides the grid, the foundation, the silver sockets, the precise measurements. These were mandatory, equal contributions required of everyone. They represent the non-negotiable baseline of Jewish life, the operating costs of a relationship, the place where we show up, whether inspired or not, because we're commanded to. But then, for the heart of the structure, the menorah, the altar, the colors, the textures, God changes the rules. He issues the call, Me'et kol ish asher yidvenu libo tikhu et trumati. From every person whose heart moves him, take from me an offering. The word yidvenu comes from the root nadav, a voluntary, generous welling up from within. In modern Hebrew, it's the same root as lihitnadev, to volunteer. And here the Torah draws its sharp distinction. The foundation is shared and uniform, but the beauty, the artistry, the inner life of the Mishkan must come from desire. You can conscript a person's labor, you can tax their wealth, you can demand their time, but you can never conscript their will. Desire is the only part of ourselves that can be truly given. By making the materials of the Mishkan a matter of personal contribution, God allows the sanctuary to become a mirror of the people who built it, drawn from individual hearts and personal will. We see this in our most important relationships. We think the boring responsibilities, the chores, the schedules, the showing up are what kill the romance, but actually they're what hold it. They are the silver sockets of a relationship, the grid that keeps everything secure. And there's a profound psychological insight here. If you're constantly wondering whether the foundation will hold, if baseline commitment feels uncertain, you have no energy left to be creative, passionate, or generous. You're too busy in survival mode to worry about soul. A marriage needs those mandatory sockets of responsibility, but the dwelling happens in the personal creative contribution, the unique ways we express love and the creative energy we bring to the partnership that no one can command. These things only have a place to live because the grid of consistency is already there. The Lubavitcher Rebbe points out that while the foundation was uniform, the Mishkan itself reflected individual talents and character, the unique temperament and contours of each person's inner life. God tells Moshe, "V'asuli migdash, make me a sanctuary, v'shachanti betocham, and I will dwell within them." Notice it doesn't say God will dwell within it, the building. It says he will dwell within them, the people. And this is the ultimate lesson of architecture. The building is only there to house the life inside. The dwelling doesn't happen in total freedom. It happens in the focused space created by commitment. If your life is all desire with no responsibility, it's a fire without a fireplace. But if it's all responsibility with no desire, it's a fireplace without a fire. Because as Stravinsky discovered and as Terumah teaches, the grid of consistency is what finally frees the heart to build a home. That's one takeaway from Parshat Terumah. If this was meaningful to you, please subscribe, share, and comment. Shabbat Shalom.